Hello and welcome. On today's episode we're going to be working on my personal car, 98 Mustang GT. We're going to be installing coilovers on the car today, and I'm going to show you some really cool tips and tricks for doing coilovers. Some really helpful hints and tricks for doing the coilovers on these cars. So anyways, won't you join me for this episode? So this is also, I guess, a good guide video for doing coilovers on a budget for one of these. So I'm going to walk you through how much I paid for my stuff. Also, well, it's not cheap on these, but I'll tell you what I did and how it works out. Alright, so I guess the first thing we should talk about is why you would even want to install a coilover setup on one of these. It would be obvious: ride height adjustability. Ride height adjustability, better handling characteristic, and actually a more comfortable ride, which doesn't really make sense when you first think about it, but when you get into how the coilover works as opposed to the original suspension works, it actually makes sense. Now you can see I already have coilover installed on my car, but we are going to be replacing the shock, so I'll be able to show you how this setup works and how to put it together. The coolest trick I have for you is using the Fox Body Mustang shock, because it's a couple inches shorter. This is the sn95 strut out of this car, like an OEM style, and this is out of the Fox Body type Mustangs. So this is like a 93. This is your 94 through 98, and you can see it's a bit shorter. 2 inches shorter, so if you're lowering your car 2 inches, there you go, you just lowered your shock 2 inches. Helps a lot if you're lowering your vehicle to keep the shock in the correct part of the stroke. There is something that you're going to need before you even go to do this. You're going to need to get some caster camber plates, a good set. Let me show you. You can see here I got my caster camber plates. Maximum Motorsports makes high quality parts, so I'd recommend them. There are other ones out there that will work, but I personally prefer to go with the Maximum Motorsports. So anyways, I'm going to show you some cool stuff you can do just to make your life easier when you go to do this on your car. So let me get this torn down and I'm going to show you. Alright, so I turned my steering wheel all the way to the left to give me more access to these nuts. Loose. I can't quite hold it with my fingers. Alright, next I'm going to remove the sway bar end link, so of course the car goes by. But anyways, so yeah, I'm going to remove the sway bar end link here, and then we're going to pull the assembly out of here. Alright, so I'm removing the sway bar end link. So that'll allow this assembly to drop down. You want to be careful not to stretch your brake line too far, or at all. Not at all would be preferable. So I'm going to remove the brake caliper just to make that a little bit more of a safe scenario. If you guys aren't aware, it's only 2 bolts. 15mm bolts, by the way. Alright, so I'm going to take that, set it aside, the rotor off, set it aside. Alright, of course it's rusted on there, so just get a screwdriver and pry it off. There we go. Alright, let's get into some of the awesome, really helpful stuff that you're going to need to know, especially when you're doing this on a budget. Okay, so I've got here this Coney orange, and they're a good budget option for a vehicle that's lowered. But what you will notice is that this is a lot shorter than this. Now that's good, because we are lowering the vehicle. Okay, the reason you wanted the shorter shock is because we lowered the vehicle so the shock can still ride in the correct dampening area of the shock. Now I'm getting the shorter shock. Is this a shock for a box body? So I ordered this for a 93 Mustang with a V8, and you can see it's about 2 inches shorter of a shaft. And that is a really good helpful tip for if you're lowering your SN95. Alright, the coilover kit that I'm using here is a Grantinelli coilover kit. Like I was saying before, the coilover kit that I'm using is one of the less expensive coilover kits. It's made by Grantinelli Motorsports. It's not the greatest kit, but it does work. If you want a good kit, if you want awesome coilover kits, get the Maximum Motorsports kit with their Bilstein shocks with the custom dampening. Those things are awesome. So anyways, the reason the shorter shock is helpful is when I go to put it all together, this actually touches there, whereas on the stock one, anyway, see with the stock one there's a gap right there, and this is the actual bearing to allow this to pivot. And that gap right there is not good. So like when your suspension unloads, your bearing can come up and get dirt in it, or even worse, you could have this misaligned like that. Just a whole bunch of not good things. So let me show you it on the new one again. You can see with this setup, even when it's completely unloaded, there's no gap between this and the bearing, the pivot bearing. Okay, I just want to go over some other tips. When you're installing your coilovers, if they're a little bit loose, you just wrap the tape around here, because you don't want it moving around. You want it not making noises, so you do that. The other tips I have, there's a part in the car that I'll show you that you bend out of the way. Alright, let me show you guys something else that's important when you're doing this. Okay, so if you look up in here, you can see this right here sticks out. You can see that. And that can and will interfere with the coilover assembly. So you're going to want to smash this down with a hammer. Alright, I'm just showing you how I bend this. It's not all the way as flat as I would like, but it's as good as I can do with the tools that I have. And the whole point, so our spring has clearance there. It's gonna set like that. So let me just show you the other little tricks here. So you need enough space between here and the top mount of your coilover, on the top of this. Otherwise it will rub. You can see right there where mine was rubbing at one point, because I didn't know that. The kit includes spacers, and you need to get enough spacers to clear this stuff. So grab measuring tape, measure from there to here, give yourself a little bit of extra, and there you go. That's how many spacers you're going to want to have. On my setup, it ends up being that much, which is about maybe 1.25 inches of spacers. Just so you guys know, Okay, you want to put some anti-seize in your threads on this so you can actually adjust it when you get in there. Now if this collar slides down on your shock, you got a little bit of play like so. You're going to want to use, I used tape. I know that sounds stupid, but it takes up the little bit of gap. You can see on my old one, I just used the duct tape on there to make it snug, keep it from rattling around. So I'm going to get my tape on there, get it snugged up, get all the spring on there, get this lubricated. I'm going to come back in a minute here and we'll be installing it into the car. So make sure to lubricate the bearings, or grease the bearings if you will. So I'm going to grab some grease, do that, and we're going to put this back in the car. Got my spacers on. Now we're ready to go back in the car. Now I just got to put everything back together. So, I guess let's do that. Alright, another tip, you want to make sure that this squeezes down tight on your spindle. So if it's not tight, you're going to get some clunking around and you're going to hate that. So I'm going to tighten that up. Double check and make sure it's tight. Alright, now important step, we want to make sure that we got clearance up here for everything. So I'm going to check on that here real quick. It all looks good. I guess I could show you guys that we are clear everywhere. It looks good. Alright, brake rotor. And my adjustment is still loose because I got to adjust my ride height when I'm all done. Don't forget, put this bracket back on. They are tight. Also, you don't want to forget to reconnect your sway bar. Okay, I just need a wheel and tire, and adjust the ride height when I just put it on the ground. it's just the front coilovers on this SN95 because doing the rears is not really necessary in my opinion. You can get adjustability a different way. I'll show you that in a minute. Alright, I'm going to show you how to get adjustability with your rear suspension without having to do coilovers. I do it by using an adjustable control arm. See if you can see it in here. Well, you can kind of see it, but this got an adjustable spring perch for the adjustable ride height. So anyways, alright, I guess I want to talk money because I am trying to do this on a budget. So my coilover kit for the front, I believe the coilover kit itself was like 200 bucks. I don't know, just check on eBay with Grantinelli Motorsports or the Grantinelli coilover kit. I don't really love it that much. I would have rather gone with a Maximum Motorsports kit. But like I said, I am on a budget. Then I'm using the Coney Orange on the front, which is basically the least expensive shock that you can get that will work with lowering. Then I'm using the trick of using the Fox Body shock to help. And then also, so they say the price on these, the Coneys was $112 a piece, so it was like 225 bucks. So 425, then plus I had to have caster camber plates. And I want to say those were like 275, but I can't really remember because I got them a long time ago. So yeah, I'm like maybe $700, I guess. So there are cheaper ways to go, but I didn't want to just have something that was crappy in the end. So I'm on a budget, but I still want it to be good. So anyways, thank you guys for watching. See you next time. Hello and welcome. Today we're going to be working on my personal vehicle, 98 Mustang GT, and there's track. Finally. I don't know why that bolt was stuck in there tight. For one of these. Car. My 96 Mustang. Hold on. Yeah. Of course, it's the wrong size. Which that's good.